Well, hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're talking about Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 3, Episode 7, entitled A Mathematically Perfect Redemption. This is kind of a sequel to the Season 1 finale episode where we saw Peanut Hamper kind of balks at coming in to save the day, and we get to find out what Peanut Hamper has been up to floating in space for the last season, I guess. This was a bit of a different Lower Decks episode because it featured almost none of the Lower Decks cast until we got like over halfway through the episode. I think it was like 2/3 of the way through the episode before we even saw the Cerritos at all. So it was something a little bit different to what we haven't seen before in Lower Decks. And today we're going to be talking about the episode, all the little bits and pieces in that, in-jokes and references and past episode Easter eggs and all that sort of stuff. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Sci-Finatics yet, please do so. Click on that big red button to stay up to date and current with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. About 70% of my viewership comes from non-subscribed people. So 70% of you who are watching my videos aren't subscribed, so please click on that big red button. So in this episode, we get the recap from what happened at the end of Season 1 with Peanut Hamper end up floating in space after the Titan saves the Cerritos from the Packlids. I did also notice that we saw Rutherford's implant floating in space there during part of the wreckage there with Peanut Hamper floating around. And then shortly thereafter, Peanut Hamper basically uses the scrap and junk that's left over from the battle to fashion together a very, very makeshift warp engine, which he proceeds to use to fly out of the system when Peanut Hamper was building her warp ship or whatever to get out of the system, that she was talking to Sophia, which, let's face it, is kind of like a direct reference to Wilson, the volleyball that Tom Hanks had in the movie Castaway. So nice little reference there. And she ends up crash landing on a planet called Aureolus, which is a non-Federation world occupied by owl people. Now, the first thing I thought of in this episode when I saw the bird people was Mike McMahon, Rick and Morty, bird person. I'm not sure what involvement Mike McMahon had when he was working on Rick and Morty about the creation of the bird person character, but I almost thought like this kind of almost felt like it was more like a Rick and Morty adventure on a strange planet, you know, with the bird people, much like we'd seen, you know, bird person and, you know, all those different weird planets on Rick and Morty. So I thought that was kind of a very cute kind of crossover reference between Lower Decks and Rick and Morty, I thought, with the whole bird people comparison. And most of this episode was getting to know the Arai, or the bird people of Aureolus. So it was kind of like an interesting episode, you know, for the first half. I thought, geez, this is quite different because we weren't seeing any of our lower deckers whatsoever, and it wasn't until, you know, towards the end where they actually, you know, did in fact show up. The whole love story thing between the male Birdman and Peanut Hamper definitely had some shades of Avatar in there, I thought, with you know, the Na'vi living with the tribal people or whatever. Kind of, there's just a few little bits and pieces that were a little bit Avatar-esque. I think particularly the kind of the love scene and then afterwards, and then there's definitely some hints of Avatar in this one. And the most interesting thing we found out about the people of Aureolus is that they were in fact previously a warp-capable society. They had very advanced starships and everything, and they obviously got involved in wars and conflicts with other races and everything. You know, maybe didn't work out so well, so they got kind of abandoned the whole reaching for the stars aspect and put all their spaceships in mothballs, so to speak, underground in caves of their planet, never to be used again. Until, of course, the Drukmani come by to scavenge the planet, the courtesy of Peanut Hamper tipping them off, and then we get to obviously see that these guys were pretty formidable. Their ships were quite powerful. Certainly, one of their smaller vessels was an absolute match for the Cerritos. If it had not been for the male Orion helping out with the other ship, I think the Cerritos probably would have ended up being destroyed. They were getting the crap kicked out of them quite significantly before he kind of showed up to help. It was good to see the Drukmani back again. We haven't seen them for a few episodes, and obviously the leader of the Drukmani, again, as he did in the previous episode, voiced by J.G. Hertzler, who also came in earlier this season to voice the character he's most known for, which is General Martok. And we also got another Star Trek Legacy character coming in to do some voiceover work in this week's episode, which was Jeffrey Combs, who came in to redo the voice of Agamus, because obviously at the end of this episode, when it was discovered that Peanut Hamper basically called the Druk money to give them all the leftover Aureolus technology and everything, and was discovered, and we thought she was going to have a bit of a change of heart, and that she'd kind of learnt, I guess, from her previously somewhat selfish and evil ways, but that wasn't the case, and we basically found that she's still pretty much no good. And in the end, yes, she ended up getting locked in the evil megalomaniac computer storage vault at Starfleet or whatever, which contains all the evil AI, including Agamus, we saw from the previous episode, the evil supercomputer. So obviously now Peanut Hamper has a home right next door to Agamus, but it kind of left the episode on a bit of a cliffhanger. Not so much a cliffhanger, but it left it open-ended to seem like Agamus and Peanut Hamper might be joining forces to get up to no good in a potentially future episode. So I'll be interested to see what comes of that new friendship that Agamus has struck up with Peanut Hamper. Look, all in all, I didn't love this episode. I didn't hate this episode. It had a few interesting bits in it, and I liked obviously the references to Rick and Morty and Bird Person and a few aspects which Avatar-esque and everything, which I thought was interesting. It did feel odd to me that we got so far through the episode. It was like 2/3 of the way in, and it was only really that last act of the whole episode where we actually got the Cerritos crew involved in the story. So that it sort of felt a little bit odd, and it was the first episode that we've had that hasn't really featured any of our usual cast in it. So that was kind of a little bit different. Look, the story was fine. It was okay. As I said, not what I would consider the best episode of the season, but it certainly wasn't the worst either. So it was kind of like it was fine. It was an okay episode. But guys, tell me what you thought of this episode. Leave your thoughts in the comments section, and let me know what you thought of this episode. Big sale, 15% off in the merch store at the moment, where you can pick up any of my t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, caps, stickers, you name it, it's all there. 15% off until Sunday, the 9th of October. So be sure to jump over to the merch store and pick yourself up a bargain while the sale's on. Really helps support the channel. Really appreciate it, guys. Much appreciated. If you haven't subscribed, as I said, please click that red button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'll be back very soon with my next video. I'll catch you guys soon.